Welcome to the, what do we call it? Oh, yeah. Lucky 13 podcast, where we talk about all things people in profit and business. This is Josh Hauser, one of our hosts. I'm Mike Lantz. It's good to be back with you.
I love that we have to think about 13 because when you have that many kids, how many kids do we have together again? And
yeah. No, we combined.
What happens?
You can't say together because then people think we have that we're married.
Nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that, of course, but that's not true.
Yeah, that's correct.
So we have 13 kids combined, so that's where the Lucky 13 comes from. We've been doing this for about 6 months.
Yeah.
I've been having fun. How about you?
I'm having a blast.
Want to keep going?
I'm getting in flow. I'm getting more comfortable doing this, and I'm just giving you a heads up, especially being from the HR world. I have no idea what's going to come out today. So
yeah, we haven't even. I have a topic that we'll jump into in a minute. It might be a little controversial. It doesn't have to do with religion or politics, so I think we're okay with that.
Well. Let's stay out of that.
But we were talking before we were starting about you're leaving in 4 hours for a 14-hour drive to Orlando.
Yeah, Chevy Chase, Holiday Road, the whole thing.
So talk to me. You said all of your kids are going, all 8.
We're going to get them all there.
It's crazy to be able. I mean,
and a boyfriend. So we got a boyfriend coming this time.
Okay,
him. He's credible.
Okay, but talk to me about the logistics of going to Disney with 9, 10, 11 people, right?
Yeah. I don't know if there's logistics. All I know is that when people stop on the walkway in front of our group, we look like the Fat Albert gang coming across the road. And when people stop in front of us, it's not good because the seas have to part. And we try to stay together as much as we can. But the reality is, at some point, somebody gets mad at somebody and the Sharks and the Jets split for a while. And then we come back and everybody's friends again. And we kumbaya and watch some parades.
So you and Amanda are driving down in
that
2 cars.
That's a different logistics. Yeah. So the older kids found this $80 flight on
Spirit.
Oh, I can't believe you guessed what it was.
Oh yeah,
right? They
it's an $80 flight, and then you buy your bag.
They threw all the bags in 2 Suburbans. So Mama and I are caravanning. And I know you're listening, and I'm so glad to be driving caravan with you because I don't want to get in trouble for anything I've said in the past. And we're going to drive down. And it's 14 hours, and we're going to get there. And when those kids land, they have no idea. But when they land, they are on duty because Mama and I are going to cash out.
Yeah.
And so we go to the pool, and we sleep all day, get sunburned like you're not supposed to. That's what it's going to look like. So if you're bored at 2 a.m. tomorrow,
I'll just call you.
Buzz me.
So, yeah, that's funny. So do you guys then plan a vacation after the vacation just for you and Amanda? Because I'm tired. I'm getting tired just thinking about taking that many people to Disney.
Yeah, there is a re-energy of having everybody together. But standing in line on the sun does not feel like a vacation until my kids look at me and I have that Clark Kent, hair parted one way to the Superman hair parted the other way, and a cape comes on and they say, "Thank you, Dad." Okay, that's all I need.
All right, so I got to tell this one story. So at the time we had 4 kids, and we hadn't adopted Josie yet, and we had an au pair, and I had the great idea. Let's go to Hilton Head, South Carolina for spring break.
Okay.
And so we got a place down there, and I remember very fondly taking vacations as a kid, but we drove everywhere.
Yeah.
Like we never flew. We always drove because we couldn't afford to fly. And they were fun. You're hanging out and you're playing like the license plate game in the car and all this kind of stuff. So I convinced my bride, Julie, to drive this. But what I wasn't taking into consideration was the fact that 2 of our kids had just started potty training.
Oh.
And so I thought we could, get in the car at about 4 p.m. It's a 12-hour drive. We can drive through the night, drive straight, and we check in.
That's a mistake.
Well, you know this now.
Yeah,
right?
Of course, yeah.
You know this now. So it took us 3 days to get to Hilton Head.
How much car shampoo did you need?
Yeah. So it took us 3 days to get there. So I pull up at the hotel. Julie's not even talking to me at this point. I drop her off, the au pair and the kids, while I got the bags and all that. I go up to the room, and I go, she's got the yellow pages open, okay? And I'm like, yeah, I know, this is dates.
Yeah.
She's got the yellow pages open, and she's on the phone. I go, what are you doing? And she goes, I'm booking flights back for everybody but you.
Oh, my goodness. Did she do it?
Yeah. So at the end of our trip, I dropped them off in Savannah, and they took flights, and I drove. Crazy thing, I got home 2 hours after them.
Oh,
driving.
Goodness.
See, it could be driven fast.
It can be.
But just not with 4 toddlers and 2 of them starting potty training.
We do the middle of the night drive to save that time, but it doesn't stop. The bathroom breaks are numerous, and nobody's bios line up.
Ever. ever. They just need to stop drinking things now.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that's the only way you can do it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay. So here's what I want to talk about. And this is just, I've seen this come up the past few weeks with some of our clients. And I'll shape this up and then we can talk. I want to talk about it from two different perspectives. And, we talk about all things people and profit. So this one probably plays more with it's people and profit, this conversation, but it has to do with people's monies. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Their money. So we just are completing a time frame where a lot of organizations go through some sort of annual review process.
Correct.
To evaluate performance from 2023. And what always happens inevitably is then employees, they go through it and they might have gotten an exceed expectations or met expectations or need improvement or whatever it may be, however that process works. And we're big advocates of evaluating performance all the way through the year, but
Correct.
Most organizations kind of do a culmination at the end.
Yep.
And then there's this conversation that employees want to have with the employer about, based on my review, how much more money are you going to pay me?
Yeah, that's probably what they think the evaluation's about.
That's exactly right, which I personally believe that they shouldn't be coupled together. One is really developmental and one is just about the value you're bringing to the business and money. And so there's been we've had to really collaborate with some of our clients and some conversations with employees who have this unrealistic expectation of the kind of pay increases that they should be receiving. So I want to have this conversation with you from two perspectives.
Okay.
One is the perspective of the business owner and how he or she should be thinking about it.
Okay.
And one is from the perspective of the employee and how he or she should be thinking about it. Is that fair?
I that this could go for a long time. This could be deep.
It could. It's a weird conversation. There's also some things we might talk about relative to people that are highly leveraged comp plans, like salespeople.
Sure.
Versus somebody who is in the finance department who crunches numbers all day and sits at their desk and creates great value, but doesn't have the ability to go earn any variable
Correct.
compensation. Now, to bring this into context a little bit, there's an organization called Mercer. Mercer does a lot of data analysis, especially in the HR space. And in 2023, Mercer released some data that showed that on average throughout the United States, businesses spent 4.1% in pay increases, total pay increases. So that's merit, that's cost of living, that's raises, promotions, all of that. But overall, businesses spent 4.1% on top of their current payroll in increases.
Okay.
In 2024, that number drops to 3.8. So it's not a huge number down, but it isn't moving in the right direction.
Okay.
More context to give you is we just are, 2020, 2021 were crazy. 2022 were crazy employment years where a lot of people could go out to businesses and businesses were so desperate to get great talent on the table that they would pay anything. And so we're in this kind of, I think, retraction and this time where we're trying to make up for what we did in 2021, 22, that sort of thing.
So the profit levers are starting to be affected by those 2021, 22 decisions.
Absolutely. And so businesses, I think, are starting to put things back into perspective. And we have a lot, and I'll just say it, more so younger employees that got a little drunk off those pay increases in 2021 and 2022 that are now being sobered up a bit in 23 and 24. And they're questioning whether or not the companies really still appreciate them and things like that.
So I want to hear a perspective on this. I'm not sure where I want to go on this yet.
So let's talk first from the perspective of the employee. Okay. So employee goes and has a really great review and you show up and you say, hey, that really great review is going to earn you a 4% pay increase. What? Only a 4% pay increase. But I should get more than that. I mean, cost of living was this and I should get more than that. How do you think that an employee should best position themselves to their company to earn a sizable pay increase?
Wow. So let me go to the opposite side before I answer that specific question, because what I went first, and it's not because of scarcity or negative, it is that tenure and loyalty and time on job, time on task seems to be, historically, that's where you got paid more. I came from the teaching profession. It was never about how good of a teacher you were. It was that every year you got a pay increase because you stayed there.
And do you think that's right?
No. I didn't. That was great that happened, but that's not the reason why you should get pay increases. Yeah. And so if you're walking in with that mindset as the employee, you as the business owner have to be thinking about, okay, that's what they've been trained to do, been taught to do. So I'm going to have to combat that a little bit. So, and I say combat, this isn't a fight. So I want to make sure I get that right.
Let me just interrupt here a quick second. That exact phrase, I've been here 5 years and I've been a loyal employee, therefore I deserve more. We heard that last week.
Oh, I'm 100% that you heard that.
From a Gen Zer.
And so that mindset, whether we like it or not, that's programmed in. That is now part of DNA mindset. And so, first of all, from the time you hire, I'm flipping to the business owner, so I'm not answering your question, so I apologize. Right. But from the time you hire, you have to set the perspective of that the value that you bring, the new enhancements, expertises, the process that you've replicated that we can delegate now and now create new space for you to do more things is where you're going to get your pay increases. And so pay increase is going to be based off, in my opinion, should be based off three things: the growth of the company, your impact on that growth, and then your willingness and I call it the will set skill sets, your willingness and skill sets to increase the value that you can bring to the firm as a person, right? Because to replace you is going to cost 1.5 times. I would argue sometimes we've given people so many raises to replace them costs less than 1.5 times because we've given merit increases and we've given time increases and not came in with a clear expectation plan that says, this is what I need you to accomplish this year. And this is how I create that value. Now let's flip it to the other side real quick. If I'm the employee walking in, I need to know my story. And it can't be how long I've been here and what the world costs and milk costs. It has to be what massive value I'm providing to the firm and where I'm seeing my next steps going in the firm. I'm going to use the word firm, company, organization, whatever term you want to use. So I don't know if that helps, but I wanted to start you on my mindset that I have to unpack this mentality of time on task and move it to value on task, efficiency, and effectiveness, and what new opportunities am I bringing to the firm is where my new opportunities of compensation exist.
Yeah, I think I'm cool hanging out on the business owner side here first, and then we can go to the other way because I think that's where it all starts. Because I think where a lot of organizations, they don't build their compensation plans effectively. Like if you're a company that isn't making any profit, you can't go pay more, because if you have $2 million worth of payroll or $5 million worth of payroll a year, whatever it is, and you're not making any profit, where's that extra 4 to 8 to 10% going to come from to be able to pay people something?
Correct.
Right. And so I think it starts with the business owner getting really clear of what the strategy is, the plan, and what you need each person to do in order to accomplish that, and then understanding how do they build compensation plans that pay for themselves. And so that they don't find themselves in a position where when somebody comes and presents the fact that they really do deserve this pay increase, that they can't pay it because they're not making any money.
Yeah, I sales is the easy one, right?
Yeah.
That's to me, I say that's the easy one. That's the most lucrative and also the most disruptive when it's not going well. So you want to pay that low base and give that high commission schedule, but are you building a commission schedule that you can see a 12-month or 18-month profit turn on that, right? Because a lot of people were overpaid commissions and all of a sudden realize, oh my gosh, I'm overpaying, and they can't take it back now. Does that make sense on that side? Yeah. On the fixed side, what I see all the time is that we go out and buy the talent that the market says is out there. We've not actually put our own strategy in place of what we need out of that and then compare to the market. I see that so many times with my companies. It's all market-based. And don't get me wrong, I I want to analyze data, but I don't want to be data-driven, if that makes sense. Data-driven says the data tells me I have to do this. I want to analyze the data and then say I want to be receptive on the move, and this is what I can pay and afford. So this is either going to get me the talent I need today ready to operate, or I'm going to have to be an expert at the training processes so that I can get the talent that can develop into the pay scale that the market's yielding because I don't have it today.
That's an amazing point, because a lot of our listeners are small business owners. You know, I'm when I say small, I'm thinking, $500 million or less.
Sure.
And they can't necessarily afford the same talent that an Eli Lilly or Roche Diagnostics can afford. So getting really good at hiring in people that are really driven, that want to learn, so that they are less talented, but they want to learn to become more talented. And you can usually hire those people for less money.
Yeah, you brought back earlier. It goes back, an earlier podcast we did was about how do you hire those kinds of folks. Well, what kind of tests can you put into place to find that always growing person that maybe their skill set's not there today, but you see the ability to adapt and adjust and then be aware of that skill set. And the future of the company can afford what today's cost is, but where you're at today can't, and you're willing to take that growth pattern with.
Yeah, for sure. So I think what's really important for business owners to keep in mind is, number one, I do think they need to research data. Like
of course.
we really promote the use of the McLaughlin research data.
It's
really good stuff. Creating a compensation philosophy, like, do you want to pay at the midpoint? Do you want to pay at the 75th percentile? How much is going to be base? How much is going to be variable? All of those types of things. You got to think that through, but it all has to align with your profit model to make sure that you can afford to hire in the kind of talent you want and that you can compensate them. But I also think there's a point in time with especially small business where you got to say, if to an employee, if these are really your compensation goals, maybe we can't accomplish that here. And it's okay if you have to go pursue it someplace else.
Correct.
Because the fact of the matter is, I think I pay my people well, but they could go earn more money in other places. And I try to make up for it on opportunity, culture, flexibility, those types of things. But I'm not going to be able to pay somebody that if they wanted to go out into corporate America, they could probably find something that pays them a little more.
What you just brought, I'm so glad you brought that up, because that was going to be my end point. Compensation is not just about dollars and cents.
Yeah.
Compensation is time. It's in culture. It's in the. I don't want to talk about freedom as do whatever I want when I want, but it's that I am doing what my unique ability gives me, and I don't have to deal with the other things that don't.
Yeah.
If you could tell me I'm going to make X amount of dollars, but I'm only going to do things that give me massive energy and I love, I might evaluate that X amount of dollars is not as good as X plus Y.
Yeah.
But that X, I go home with no worries, no drama, maybe get some hair color back, cut a couple pounds because I'm not stress eating or staying up. What other compensation models and ideas can you have I always call the compensation conversation is so critical. How are you presenting as a business owner those plus ones, those additionals that you can't get outside of every place else? Because if it's only driven by the dollar, that might not be the right person anyways.
Yeah. We're finding more and more businesses that are going to a total compensation model where they're saying, we're going to allocate this much money for this role. And you can take it however you want to take it, right? It could be in benefits. It could be in pet insurance. I mean, that's a big thing, believe it or not. It could be in how much we're going to contribute to the 401k. It could be in your pay. It could be in days off.
Could it be in gym memberships?
It could be in gym memberships. It could be in anything. And so we're finding more and more, but I think sometimes it's about finding out what's important to that individual.
Yeah.
For some people, vacation time is more important than the actual cash in the door.
Let's unpack that for just a second, because what I heard you say is, and I'm really working on this, is that what if I said, Mike, for $100,000, that's what I'm offering for the compensation for this. How do you want that taken?
Yeah. That's where I think organizations are going to be forced to really go, because if I've got 100 people that are working for me, that $100,000 might be split differently by each of those individuals.
And it gives them the freedom to think about what they want to do. And the other side, but the answer is always going to be, I'll just take it all and make my own decision. The reality is we always know we make bad decisions when we take it all. It's helping. Can you help me? Because there's an additional compensation. I'd love to sit with you and really get clear on what you're wanting to accomplish. And let's see if we can help you allocate those dollars to get those accomplishments in place. Yeah. So if it's savings, if it's 401k, if it's health, wellness, if it's your insurance policies, your benefits package, let's allocate this correctly so that you still have the cash that you need to quote unquote live at home, buy milk, eggs, gas.
Yeah.
But at the same token, know that you're living what we call a wealthy life, and that a wealthy life is a life well lived.
Yeah.
And we can use dollars to help create that, and let's allocate those dollars correctly, because all money is just zeros and ones. Yeah. Let's program it for you.
Effective organizations also at the end of a year, I don't know if you guys do this here or not, but they create a total compensation statement at the end of the year.
We do.
That really talks about it's not just the pay, but it's the time, the value of the time off, the value of the mission trips we were able to send you on, the value of the 401k contribution. It shocks people to know how much a business pays for their health insurance.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's crazy how much it is. And employees oftentimes lose sight of what those costs are.
Yeah, so I think total compensation is a conversation worth having, because what happens is then you start to compare your paycheck versus the offer of another company's paycheck. Yeah. And that paycheck doesn't have the same value when you put everything on the table together.
So before we wrap up here, let's flip over to the employee side. And what like if you're an employee and you're really wanting to go in and get some sort of pay increase that's outside of the usual and customary, like the 3.5 to 4%, how would you approach that? What coaching would you give to one of your sons if they came in?
You just said coaching. I go to Dan Sullivan. I'm not going to take my business owner a problem. I'm going to take them a solution. And so the solution in my mind is that, hey, I want X amount of more money. Here are the 3 or 4 things I think I can add to the company. Not these are the things I've done. To try to get paid more for the shingle that I hung in the past, that I might hang that same shingle in the future. That's going to Vegas and rolling dice. That's not what I'm about. Bring in a solution that would show me that. And when you are taking that onus of your own career, your own profession, and then going in and partnering with your business owner rather than leveraging against your business owner, I think that's such a different conversation, because now you can discover together what things I can do to add new value to the company, and you'll see me get a lift because I'll feel better about the work I'm doing.
Yeah, it's great. Mark Cuban recently was interviewed, and they asked him a similar question, right? And he said, what I would do is I would go in and I would get a sales job, and I would go and I would bust my tail at sales. I would crush every sales goal in my first year. Then I'd walk into the business owner's office and I would say, this is the value I've created for you. This is now what I want to be compensated. This is leveraging a little bit.
Sure,
but then,
I don't mind.
And if you won't do that, then I'll just go and start my own company and compete against you.
Yeah.
And I've said similar things to people before, which is about, especially when they first start with you and they want this salary, salary A, and I want to pay them salary B. My response to them is, go show me in the next 6 months how you're worth salary A, and you hold it over my head.
You just said my favorite 2 words: show me.
Show me.
At the end of the day, if you can show me, and then I'm going to show you what I'm going to do as well, and I will prove it out. It's just geometry. I'll prove it out. Here's the facts. Here's what we're going to prove. I'm going to prove I'm worth this amount, and I'm going to show you the theorems and corollaries that got me there.
Yeah.
So it did last year. So give me a new start, and I'm going to do the same. See, I don't think that's leveraging. I think that's a show me state, and I love being in the show me state.
Yeah, and the one thing that I would encourage employees to do when they're doing that, though, is they always have to think of the bottom line. The value that somebody brings to the business has to translate into bottom line performance, because you can come to me all day long and say, I did all of these things that might be important, but if it didn't impact my bottom line, I don't have the extra resources to be able to pay you that.
Yeah, how many times?
So they have to understand that.
How many times do people accomplish their role and it actually does not add to the profit margin?
Exactly.
If it's not adding to the profit margin, then to ask for more money is just asking, can you take more money out of your pocket and give it to me, rather than can we build the company bigger and it's money that we create together.
Yeah. So as we close up, if you're a business owner, do your research, find out what market compensation is, build your own compensation philosophy, whatever that is.
Correct.
And that starts to become the compensation philosophy for your organization. Be crystal clear with your employees as to what you expect out of them. And that all has to translate into bottom line performance. And if you're on the employee side, this is a great time to be thinking about it, because if you weren't happy with your raise this year, create a plan where a year from now you can go to them and really articulate how you move the bottom line and why you're worth more.
Yeah. I mean, this is high school sports. Why am I not playing coach? What do I need to work on?
Exactly. And not even high school, right?
Yeah,
all the way up.
All the way up.
Play for performance.
There it is.
All right. Awesome. Thanks a lot.
Good stuff.
Have a good one.